Oh, holy dude, this chapter was actually really insane. Let me get a little caddy right here. Where is it? Right here. There we go. Sorry, I've been busy. I will reveal. I said I would at some point, so I'll do it at some point in this video. I'll explain to you guys why I've been so preoccupied over the last couple weeks, primarily. Like on top of everything else, I've had to put my free time towards another activity. But like I said, at some point during the video, I'll reveal it. I promised I would from however many likes in the last video got. But super hype chapter. For one, this the chapter almost immediately confirms one of the theories I've had, which I thought was hilarious. I think I had like 3 or 4 chapters this series, or 3 or 4 chapter series, 3 or 4 theories this chapter that got confirmed. Like we had the whole bit, one about Ferris like just being a like dragon eater. I don't know, I assume she would count as a dragon eater just because it's based off the arm. Unless there's another type of dragon slayer generation, I would assume the fact that it's just a dismembered arm. Her only real way of doing anything with it would be to eat it, because as far as we know, when it comes to the lacrima, you have to use a heart. So I don't think you could just use a hand. Maybe you can use a hand, but maybe the process is just something completely different. I imagine way easier than probably whatever the other steps to go with getting the dragon slayer magic processed. But the weird thing about it was, my question when it came down to this chapter, when we were getting in Ferris's bit, was what exactly is the explanation on Ferris's position right now? Because having the arm or having black magic some way that it's going to be like revealed of like this one's a black wizard. On top of that, she feels like IGNIA. Okay, well, obviously we're going to get those explained, but I mean, to me, it was more of like, well, why is it going to be in this moment now? And I think there's a little bit in this that I think is, I haven't seen anyone talk about it. I mean, the chapter's only been out for an hour and a half, but it's really weird. So I want to go in order just because I want to kind of get everything obviously bit by bit, and then we'll kind of just talk about the overall chapter and talk about just where my head's at with everything and what we're going to be looking at. But as of right now, it's like she's like saying how she is both a black wizard and she is a black magic dragon at this point. And that's really important too, because IGNIA's arm gave her black magic dragon slayer powers, which is really interesting. I mean, I think that's cool. It doesn't make her as broken as IGNIA in terms of the versatility. Obviously, like, she's going to be X unknown amount of strength. We saw her clash with IGNIA this chapter, so we know obviously she is powerful. She's not just randomly going to show up and get bodied. But we are told that this one is the Earthline version of Ferris. We have a Edalus one who's just like, she just works on a farm. We have the one that we know, which is a completely different Ferris. And that's another thing that I was happy to see confirmed this chapter, because that was one thing that I personally wasn't really thinking too much about, because it wasn't where I was like, okay, well, I want to find out this mystery. Like if it was an Earthland or the original Ferris that we had, or an Edalus Ferris or whatever. I personally wasn't thinking too much about that. Like that's not where my head was at. I was thinking more of like, well, what is the reason for obviously her position right now in the story, and obviously the questions of where her powers and stuff came from. And IGNIA, I like how IGNIA thought that she was an interesting just case in general. It was something that he just didn't foresee and didn't really expect. And he thinks that she's interesting, but he's in the middle of a conversation with Natsu, so he's just trying to get her out of the way. And I like how for Natsu, he's just like, because he's just kind of confused, because IGNIA is like thinking about it, like, yeah, we're just having a conversation. I mean, for Natsu, it's just like, no, this wasn't like, I don't vibe with you, like completely, fuck you, like you're a psychopath. And IGNIA's like, yeah, whatever, yeah, fuck you too, I'll see you later. Yeah, okay. I feel like with IGNIA would be one of those guys where like he would let Natsu just go in and out of his castle trying to fight him, like if they weren't on some form of like on a time schedule. He'd just let him come in and out, attack him, and he'd be like, hey man, I want you to know that tomorrow I'm gonna be busy, but there's gonna be free food out. We're having a party, and he's like talking to him like midway of like, yeah, I'm, I know you're here to kill me, but I got stuff to do tomorrow, kind of thing. Like, you wouldn't be too serious about it. I just feel like he's got that mentality where he just takes the whole want to fight Natsu to death. It's like, yeah, I want to do it, but I know it's not going to be for a while, so I'm not going to get my hopes up. I'm just going to kind of sit back and wait for it. But there's a funny part too, that when Ferris is saying how aren't you're scared of Actinologia, and we didn't get a response from IGNIA at all. I don't think that IGNIA would have a response in turn like that she would be looking for. I think we would get a response from him just the way you'd expect. He's not going to be afraid of Actinologia, and he's not going to be afraid of somebody powered off of Actinologia. Because to me, I think IGNIA is confident in his own strength, but there's still that unknown, because he can't fully know, obviously, if he's X spot with Actinologia until he actually tried to fight him. And on top of that, there's the psychological aspects of it too, obviously growing up with Actinologia being this looming death-like presence to anybody who is, might be a dragon to him. So with that, I feel like there's that being a pull on it, on IGNIA, but it being more of just like a logically written kind of almost self-holding weakness and not a real thing. Whereas with E&D and Actinologia, I think he just was cautious of this thing that's like seemingly is unfathomable even to him. And then with Actinologia, like IGNIA understands aspects about it, but there's still the unknown of like if he ever fully applied himself to it. But I was really happy to see when Toka and him had the when Ferris and him had the clash, and then she's got the arm of Actinologia. Now, this is the thing for me that was really confusing. And this is something that if you haven't yet, if you haven't noticed this in the chapter, I would recommend going back and reading it. Is that her arm looks mechanical. It looks robotic. It like there's small little bits in there. Like you can tell for obvious parts where the hands, it's going to look like the claws, but then you look at like the wrist, it looks like there's a big metallic ring. Up near the elbow area, there's like a plate and what looks like almost like metallic fibers. And then when she puts the hand and you see the knuckles, it looks almost kind of like bolts and stuff like on the knuckles. And this just makes me wonder like how exactly that works. Now, I had an idea, and this is part of my theory, that Eleftheria, I was trying to figure out my words on it. Eleftheria, or her, who knows? Maybe it is her, because I think Eleftheria is suspicious, but I do really like the idea that he's actually working with IGNIA, because just the fact he's got a big sun symbol on his outfit, but it's covered up by his beard, so you don't really look at it too much. And then there's all the sun symbology that's been going on with IGNIA this arc. So, obviously it's got a tattoo and stuff, but like more so with actual stuff around him instead of just a design tattoo. We have like this whole bit where I almost lost my train of thought. Where if she's got her, her powers from eating Actinologia, it's one thing, but is that what happened? Is she fully human? Like, if it's mechanical, there's some form of cross between her and Athena that we don't know about, with like maybe she copied her technology or something, or did she take the arm and she just didn't eat it all herself? Maybe there were a couple of her minions that she gave parts of Actinologia's arm to in like little bits, and she assimilated it into her body, but it's not able to form the full arm except through like this machinery upgrade. It's very interesting. I did not. This is like a bit that I wasn't thinking about going to the chapter at all, just because I didn't figure she would have any like weird mechanical hand thing going on. But it's like, it's not really emphasized in the chapter, but you can see it if you just look at a specific couple bits. Like, again, the wrist, the part of the knuckles, the part of the elbow. It just makes me wonder, is she mechanical? But like, if she's mechanical, I feel like logically it's going to have something to do with Athena. And I've had personally the idea that Eleftheria was getting like sides, like all this stuff that at the end of each of the parts of the of like a Dragon God arc with like Athena and Ferris and stuff, it would make sense of why these would get actually, you know, in his favor, and he's gonna, you know, manipulate them because he's got Athena now. So what happened if it was like, oh, you know, this part of the plan, you know, gets Ferris over, and then you know, uses the technology from Athena to the upgrade and enhance Ferris in some way, or maybe it's a black magic. I don't know. It's very strange again because like it's not like I did a robot thing and I can copy, you know, and do like an energy that's like a 1-for-1, because you can tell just looking it's black magic, and it makes sense. She's like, oh, I was a black wizard before I you know, before I found Acnologia's arm, and then after getting Acnologia's arm she became a black magic dragon slayer. And on top of that, it's, you know, in reverse to Ellentir with Ferris, who is part of the whiteout group. And so it's like, okay, flipped over here where she's a whiteout you know, member, now over here she is a black wizard. Though I do wonder if she's part of a group or if she's her own person. I would assume that she's going to have her own squad of some kind. I kind of hoping that Mishima ends up taking the people in Rebellious that were still there and has them get, you know, mind controlled or taken over, whatever, with her for this, because I just don't see her acting alone, and I don't see her being with IGNIA or anything unless her and IGNIA hook up. I don't know. Just because as of right now, I would assume that she is just an extra force thrown into here. That, you know, she's a wild card to where you weren't just having IGNIA just go through the steps. Because again, she's not something I feel like anybody expected. I don't think anybody really expected this weird Ferris plot twist with the Earthline Ferris being this black wizard with Acnologia's arm. But like right after they clash and they see the arm, and again, I need to see if anybody else has like seen this weird mechanical arm. It's just so neat to see too, back with the Acnologia arm, because this is something that I've been wondering for years and years and years. And then we got the Dragon Eaters, and more so I was like, okay, cool, maybe my idea can finally come into play. Because like even back then, it was like, to me, there had to be something important. It's like a body part of this, like, you know, I say ancient being, but, you know, 400 plus years, but he's, you know, he's this extremely powerful dragon being. And obviously we didn't have the Dragon Eaters at the time, but it was like the idea, it's like, okay, well, if you have a dragon arm, could you turn it into a Lacrima? Could you absorb it? We know from the Dragon Cry that dragon, you know, just parts of dragon bodies, you know, contain mystical and unknown properties. So there was always this idea that his arm was out there and existed as a, I just hear stuff falling down the stairs over behind me. Just absolute unknown piece. And now we have, oh yeah, she found the arm, and now she was able to gain power from it. And again, this is just a weird plot twist that I didn't see coming, but I really like. After that point, we have IGNIA, who just seems a little bit astonished by it, but not really kind of that shaken. He's just like, huh, okay. And then he tells the Signario sisters to do a thing. They end up putting their hands together and making this flame. And I'm wondering if this is just a cool looking flame, or if there's something special about it, because it looks similar to the flame that's at the top of the Fire God Castle. And then it kind of just erupts like all around them. And we get IGNIA doing the whole bit of the Dragon King Festival. Now, 1 second, because I said I was going to reveal why this was a pain for me recently. I'm going to pause this really fast. Okay, I can't have it for too long. Now, hold on. I accidentally left my cats alone, and one of my cats was not fixed, so I'm stuck with this tiny little cat for right now. Her name is Yarnum. She's going to be here for the video. She'll hang out for a little bit. At some point, I'll go put her back until she gets annoyed. So she can be here for the chapter. She was present for this fire-ass chapter, born in the same month, leading up to this hype and this hype arc. But anyway, this was really cool to see addressed, because there are so many like small tidbits when it comes to 100 Years Quest that fans have had varying issues with, because some people are not against something, but some people are. And personally, I haven't minded really any of the Dragon God fights except for Viernes, just because I thought it was too short and we didn't see enough of Viernes' capabilities. Because even with Dogremag's fight was like it was almost entirely in his humanoid form. We didn't see a lot in his dragon form, and it seems like that's about to change. But that was like my thing for me. But at the same time, it's like we had such a good fight in his human form that didn't bother me too much. And on top of that, we knew his placement as the weakest dragon god, and it seemed to me more so just kind of like getting the bar set of understanding where if you take the weakest dragon god, Natsu and Suzaku combined are able to defeat that bottom part. So two of them combined are just at the bar. So it's like, okay, each of them halfway or so at the line to reach that lowest point of dragon god level. And we've had stuff with like Merc was not at full power. When the main cast was fighting him, he was only at half. When he started to fight Sirius, Natsu was already his EDF form, and on top of that, Merc was not fighting intelligently. He was fighting like as an instinctual, just wild animal, pretty much. And I feel like with his element compared to the other dragon gods, water, you're just able to do more kind of like small, crazy precision things when you have more control. And you can also do just kind of like weirder things when it comes to the ocean with actual knowledge of what you're gonna do. Because I mean, like we just like looking at his basics, like way that he was attacking and having the ocean above him, and then he was just doing these pressurized water beams. He was only doing beams. Like, why isn't he do like condensing it further and making like pretty much lasers or like water blades or doing anything crazy, or just simply dropping that giant sky sheet of water straight down and crushing everything? But essentially, we never really had any of the dragon gods at full power because like Alderaan had the god seeds to stabilize his power once he got as strong as he did, because he didn't get strong based off training or anything. He got strong by absorbing the nutrients and life force of the humans that lived on him over hundreds of years. And with the way that he worked, you defeat a god seed, and until that god seed comes back, he loses a chunk of his power. And you do that until it's just him, and then you're on a timer until all the god seeds get restored and he gets that power that he lost back. So when Natsu beat him, the god seeds, except for Wolfen's like a weird one because like he didn't die, so I would assume that it's not like Alderaan was at his absolute weakest. We had at least one god seed still alive, but he was not at full power. Viernes is like weird because like I would assume like full power for him is like you can't, like he's an idea and you can't really fight him, but also like he just seemed to not really be the best fighter when he's directly in combat. But there's also the idea is like, did Mishima rush that because he knew this was going to be going on and he'd rather this arc be going on when 100 Years Quest anime is going on, as well as the Year of the Dragon, as well as he's like, well, I'm already going to be bringing this guy back in his dragon form in a couple months anyway. Who knows? These are things that I can't say for certain, but I can say as of right now, we are going to be getting them all kind of back, which is really crazy. Because he's talking about, like, you know, in your country, the Dragon King Festival, the 100 Years Quest is about doing the Dragon Gods, and nobody's been able to defeat us in 100 years, and you guys have beat 4, but none of them were at their full power. And IGNIA even says that he's been suppressed up until this point, because he's saying the Dogromag's roots went all over the continent, and they suppressed everybody's power and able to do stuffing with it. I would imagine not like full suppression, but it's like the way that it works is none of the dragon gods would be able to go to their full extent because of it. I don't really like that one. It seems a little bit more like we need a little bit of explanation on it, unless he literally means just like, yeah, I was nerfed and I don't think anybody else really noticed like how much they really were being hindered in comparison. And with the Signario sisters, they're using like a dragonization type of magic, and this is interesting to me because I thought we would be getting more like turning any dragon slayer into a dragon. Maybe this is the first wave, because with the previous chapter when he's talking about the Dragon King Festival and we see the silhouettes of the other dragons behind him, I assume that those are people that are going to be turning into dragons. And I feel like there's like the theory of it, obviously, because I feel like the Fire and Flame members have to have some reason to want to be in the guild, and they know that if it's, you either be a human or a dragon out in the world. Like, why would you want to be a human? Because you're going to be clearly way weaker, so more susceptible to getting like eaten and just way worse things. I would assume that they're going to get turned into dragons. And the Signario sister ones, I feel like, is the one that is the best, or at least I guess seemingly the best way to back it. Because there's like that one dragon behind him that has 2 heads, and it's like, okay, well, what is that going to fit? Signario sisters. But you have like these lights go all over Guiltina, and I really like the fact that we see Guiltina. It's like a full overhead of it. There's like 2 small, like, I'm looking at the map again. There's like 2 small bits of it that have me curious. There's like a spot that looks like a crater, and then there's a spot that looks like a swirl. I'm trying to remember if that was something in 100 Years Quest, and I can't think of it off the top of my head, just because the swirl just seems very specific. I don't really know what it's about. But seemingly, because at the end of the chapter, like, Selene is glowing, and after that we have the people in Ermina, and right as they're just kind of like, you know, figuring out what's going on, Merc just appears in his dragon form. Now, granted, the last time we saw Merc, not the last time we saw Merc, really, I guess really any time we saw Merc after Ermina, couldn't use his powers, he's stuck in human form, so now we're seeing him forced back in his dragon form. And dude, I am like crazed to the fact that the same week that the anime comes out, and then like he shows up in the anime, he ends up getting this a beautiful like full page panel where he's bursting out of this building. He's looking cool. So Merc fans are going to be seeing this dude actually at full power, unhindered, for the first time, and it's like you had to wait like over half a decade to even get to this point, which is crazy. But because of this, I would assume that we're getting the dragon gods all back. So there's 4 lights, unless we get a thing in the next chapter where it's like a 5th one of Doberman's back. I'm gonna assume maybe I assume that either the crater or the swirl is from the Dogre Labyrinth. I have to recheck the map. I'll have to recheck the map at some point. I could be wrong on both of those. That's just what I'm thinking, just because there's 2 like small little specifics on the map that I feel like maybe there's just nothing, maybe there is something. It's because we have this full map actually now, and we can look at where everything is. We've only really gotten chunks for the most part up until now, and this means we're gonna get Viernes and Alderaan back too. Like, assumingly it's just the 4 out of the 5 others, and we're not getting Dogremag, because maybe Dogremag's sacrifice and the whole setup leading up to this kind of cuts him out. I'm stoked to see Alderaan again. I can't wait to see Alderaan again. I want to see him in a panel. I would love it if it's like after this point he can switch, like instead of like having the dragon god brain, he can switch between a human form and humanoid form and dragon form, just to make it easier for him. Especially communicating with the other dragon gods. I really want to see what's going to be going on with that. Because Merc, I would assume Merc has no control right now, or who knows what, in terms of like his mental state. Maybe he'll still be a crazed, kind of just rampaging dragon, but he'll be at full power. Don't know. But yeah, this chapter was actually crazy. This, like I've said before, IGNIA just keeps winning. Everything about IGNIA, every time IGNIA is really like in the chapter center, like it just ends up hitting and breaks all expectations, and really just gets the ball rolling to everything going crazy again and again and again. And I've been so on board with it, and it's been fantastic. This cat has actually been asleep almost this entire time I've been talking. I've been really impressed. She is very content with how things are going right now. But yeah, I can't wait. I mean, I want to see out of the Dragon Gods coming back, assuming that Dogremag is not going to be amongst them, and we're getting Alderaan and Viernes back into the frame. I want to see Viernes probably the most. Like, Alderaan is the one I have a personal want to see in terms of the one that I really like. But with Viernes, I would love to see just Viernes show more display, because if it's like Mishima was fine cutting him short earlier, but then like there's a reason for him being defeated earlier, on top of that now we're getting at full power, then it's like, oh cool, now we have him, we can see more of what he's capable of. I'll be all for it. I mean, that's just going to be exciting. Um, I can't imagine like this in any way not getting anyone's like blood rolling and getting hyped, because this was fantastic. I like we see Diablos members again, which I guess to me the only thing, and this is a small thing, it's nothing crazy, but it's like the Diablos members are back at their guild, which good. We know where they are. We know that whatever they were doing is finished. But like, what did they do? They went to go look for stuff on Athena, and then like, as far as we know, they didn't find anything, and then they just come back. Is there a reason they came back? Is there something that's going to be revealed on that? Like, I feel like it could literally just be like, yeah, we didn't find anything, we came back. Something else happened, we distracted. Maybe we caught wind of this black wizard girl that smelled like a dragon and came back. Something that it's gonna kind of go like, oh, okay. I honestly don't really need to have like any real explanation on what they're doing back at their guild. I don't think it's that important. I just want to see obviously what's going to happen with that. We only see Manuel Suzaku and Kiria. I assume all of Diablos is there. They're gonna need to leave. It's the danger that's about to happen is I'm wondering what the characters that are around each of the dragon gods, what are they gonna do to survive? Because with like Viernes and Alderaan, I assume there's not gonna be any named or noteworthy characters, so like any random humans, they could just get killed, and it wouldn't be that much of like a hard shift of events. But like if we get some of the people in Ermina or the Diablos members, if we get any of them killed off, I'm actually be pretty. I mean, the Diablos members might actually make me really sad. Like the dudes in Ermina, I'd be sad. I'll shed a tear for any of the Diablos members that get killed. That would bum me out, just because I still genuinely like all of Diablos. But happy to see them existent. Happy to see them acknowledged. And now we just have IGNIA pulling crazy cards. 100 Years Quest so far, everything has been just in the palm of his hand, and everything is going his way. I mean, I really just don't see how anybody can't see IGNIA's existent backstory, the questions that we have currently, his performance, his design, everything about him has just been amazing. Like he as an antagonist has just been absolutely stellar. But anyway, I'm gonna end this video. I'll try. Let me think of really fast of anything else, because I feel like this chapter is one of those ones where stuff went by recently or decently in speed, but it's one of those ones you want to reread multiple times over and over and over, just because like obviously stuff's going on. We had a lot of really cool panels, the double spread, the full spread, just like getting the map of Guiltina, obviously seeing Diablos, seeing Mercphobia again. Everything about this chapter is just going to be like looked at. This is a big chapter. Black Will, man, absolutely stellar. And this was really funny because I feel like this is just something I want to put near the end of the chapter, at least for me, because obviously like I check Twitter just usually before like we're getting ready for stuff, just because if I want to post something, or it's like, oh, let's see who else is hyped up for the chapter. I feel like this chapter people weren't talking, and yet it ended up being like the most hyped chapter I believe so far this year. Like really, I for me, easily the most hyped chapter. I'm talking about for other people. I feel like this chapter was more hyped than any of the other ones. I feel like the general consensus will be that this chapter is incredible and that this is going to be insane. But anyway, I'm going to end the video before I get too long on this. IGNIA hype as expected. IGNIA just ends up blowing every single like stock point I put him out of the water and raising the bar every single time that he really is up to something. The Ferris stuff is really cool. I want to see what's going on with that. Obviously, I want to see what's going on with the Dragon Gods and what the main cast is going to be going on too. So we'll be seeing, obviously, 2 weeks. I mean, this is definitely a chapter to be sitting on for 2 weeks. I could read this chapter probably every day for the next 2 weeks and still be happy and hyped for the next one. But anyway, yeah, I'll end it. Say bye to this nice little kitty. Look at her sleep. I know, she's so cute. She was the most brave one, so this is the one I ended up taking. The other ones, I gotta find one home for them. We found that she only had 3 kittens. We got keeping the smallest one. I like her because she's the bravest. And then we're gonna we got the one that looks kind of like our mom. He's got like a similar fur pattern. We got to find a home for that. And then the tiny kitty time will go back to hopefully getting a couple more stuff set up, because I still got to do a reaction to the newest episode of 100 Years Quest. We're going to be doing that. But obviously, as much as I'm hyped for the anime, the manga ends up taking priority, and the IGNIA agenda. Like, if this was the episode where IGNIA shows up at the anime, it'd be a different story. But this is the start. Awesome IGNIA stuff though going on right now, and we got an agenda to be pushing for this guy right here. Anyway, comment below, thumbs up the video, a friend like button, subscribe button, and check out my other videos. Say hi to Yarnum, she's a good cat. And hopefully I don't get, I don't let any of my cats get pregnant again for at least another year or so. Luckily I only have one unfixed female, so I'll keep an eye on her. My other cat's okay. She doesn't have to worry about that, but we'll see. Anyway, you guys, hype for the next one. Really fast, if you've made it this far into the video, all the way to the end, I'm gonna put in the description for my Discord. I'm gonna start doing that again, because I want to get stuff hyped up and built up, because like I said, the agenda is gonna be moving. And soon I'm going to be looking into time to see if I can get a couple openings to do streams again. We'll see. And until then, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.